Nicki here has separation anxiety, as I mentioned in the earlier video. That's what we're working on, teaching her control. Now, we've just spent about an hour going over different ways that the guardians can incorporate delayed gratification to help her develop a little bit of self-discipline and control. This exercise, I'm gonna basically teach how to teach the dog to stay. Now, I heard you guys say stay. Does she stay for a couple seconds until you leave the room, or is she stay? I know you want the treat. So stay. How good is her stay?
Good, not great.
Okay. So most people teach the stay, and they give the dog the ability to auto release. So when I teach the stay, I teach it in 3 versions. The first version is duration. The second is distance. The third is for distractions. Now for duration, what I do is I have a handful of treats here. Now I'm a righty, so I'm gonna have a handful of them here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lure her to put her in position. I'm going to put her on the side so you can see. So you can see that she's very treat motivated, and you guys already know this. So I'm going to ask her to stay for just short periods of time, and I'm going to gradually elongate them. So the first one, I'm going to go stay. I turn my palm to face my ceiling, and I go count to 5 in my head. Stay. 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 Now she can look away because eventually we're going to ask her to stay while we go out in another room and eventually out of the house completely, and she's not allowed to move. So that's 10 seconds, so let's go to 15. Stay. Stay. I did this with her a little bit yesterday. She has a really good focus. Sometimes a dog will, when you're doing this, they'll start squirting around because they think that I'm not doing what he wants. That's why he's not giving me the treat. So if she starts moving around, what I do is I go like this, and that'll kind of stop her. I just move my hand just a little bit just to stop her, and then I go back to my chest. I don't want to keep on saying the word stay. And I'm going to gradually work up to the point where I can get her to stay like this for 5 minutes. Now yesterday when the guardians were gone, I was practicing with her outside. I got her up to a minute staying like this because her focus is awesome. We need to elongate that and help her learn to focus on one thing and stay calm for longer periods of time. This is a great exercise to help develop control. So when you're doing training, one thing that I've found is the dog's neurons get tired of firing. So when you first start practicing something new, once the dog understands it, the first minute you'll have almost all successes. The second minute you'll get a couple of failures sprinkled in. You get to the third minute, you get closer to 50-50 because the neurons start getting tired or fatigued and stop sending the signal. So that's why you're looking at, you know how to do this, sit, or whatever it is. When we get frustrated with the dog, it's a chemistry thing that's going on, or a biological thing, actually, more accurately. So we want to gradually work the dog up there. Now, if I go, this time I went 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15. Next time I might do 20, 40, 60. Next time I might do 30, 60, 90. So you want to kind of move it like that. Stay is a little bit different. Stay, if I'm going up to 5 minutes, eventually we're going to have her sitting for 5 minutes. But typically when you're doing training, you want to keep it short. 1 to 2 minute training sessions are ideal for learning it, and always end on a good note. So the dog has a fond remembrance of what the activity was. Now I'm going to do it one more time, and then afterwards I'm going to use the word break. But I always give a command word, and I can practice 5 or 10 of them in a row, but when I get done, I have to give the dog a signal so she knows we're no longer staying. Now for her right now, I'm saying the word stay, and she's clearly been taught a little bit of stay, so there's some resonance to it. But eventually, and if it doesn't, you would want to change the name. If you say stay so many times your dog doesn't stay, maybe you would say wait, or to come up with a different word. All right, stay. Now I can look away as well, and eventually the dog can, like I mentioned earlier. Initially, I keep my eyes focused on the dog to really help them stay focused initially, but like I said, you can eventually turn your head away. And so now she's kind of, at first she was just staring at me in the eyes. Now her eyes are kind of drifting to my left hand because I have a couple treats in there. My right hand, she's blinking. She's getting a little bit softer eyes. So she's still focused, but not that same intense laser focus. Focus. Now when every time the treat touches her lips is when she should hear the command word. When I'm done, I typically do something like this. Break. I say it when she gets it with her mouth. So now she knows that eventually she'll know that break means I'm done. So this is an exercise that what I found the most effective way to do is to try to do it multiple times a day in very short intervals. So what I would suggest you guys do is do this before you feed her breakfast, or if you can't, you can do it after. Sit. Before you go to work, maybe one of you jumps in the shower and the other one's you practicing. And then the next one gets in the shower and you're dressing. Then you guys do it. So do it 1 minute each in the morning. When you come home, do it again another minute, and a little bit later on in the day. Try to just sprinkle in 1 or 2 minute training sessions. Again, you'll go up to 5 minutes eventually. But if you can do it multiple times a day, you'll move much faster and she'll progress and understand the skill set much better. So this is how we teach our dog to stay.